Erotic Sci-fi and Fantasy Anthology, Volume 1. Written by Carl East, narrated by Scarlett, Lillie Ways, Keira, Grace, and Maggie Dale.
The Gifted. Melissa looked up at the school building, knowing that she'd be learning her craft there for the next 4 years. It was an impressive structure and looked its age, with windows that seemed to go on forever across the front and a huge archway entrance. The gravel pathway was well trodden, and the number of pupils heading towards the entrance was intimidating. She wasn't used to crowds. In fact, she preferred her solitude. At 18 years of age, she was going to be a first-year student, and she knew that there would be problems along the way. She followed the crowd and entered the school for the first time. It looked clean and well-kept, which is always a bonus. She spotted a sign that read, "First-year students, please report to the assembly hall," with an arrow pointing the way. She followed it, and soon came to the hall in question, evidenced by the fact that there were a lot of pupils inside, but mostly because it said so above the door. She quietly slipped into the crowd and really didn't want to be noticed. However, being 6 foot tall and attractive tends to get one noticed, even when you don't want to be. "Hello there, I'm Michelle and a first-year student. Pleased to meet you," said a voice directly behind her. Melissa turned to find a petite young woman wearing a very warm smile. "Oh, hi there, Michelle. I'm Melissa Parker. Pleased to meet you as well." Michelle was about to start up a conversation, but before she could, the head of the school started to talk. "Welcome to Magic High. I trust you all found it easily. My name is Carol Finch, and I'm the headmistress of Magic High. I'm not going to speak for long this morning, as there is a lot to accomplish. So, without further ado, I would like all first-year pupils who are boarding with us to follow the students you see to your left of the assembly hall. They will show you to your rooms so that you can get settled in." Melissa looked over to where the headmistress was pointing, and sure enough, there were 3 students all waiting for them. She started to move towards them, and then heard that voice again. "Oh, good. You're staying as well. I was wondering if I'd get to know someone who is interesting here," said Michelle. "You think I'm interesting?" replied Melissa. "Oh, yes. The quiet ones are always the most interesting. Tell me, Melissa, do you know what your gift is yet?" "Yes and no. I'll explain later. First, though, I'd like to get to my room and see where we'll be staying," replied Melissa. They were soon standing in front of the students, and it turned out that there were only 20 pupils who were going to be boarding with the school. "Hi, everyone. I'm Patricia, and your go-to student for any questions you might have about Magic High. On my left is Amy, and on my right is Lisa. Lisa will lead all those that know what their gift is to the dorm rooms where they'll be staying, and Amy here will be taking those who don't know or are not sure to their rooms. If you could follow them in an orderly fashion, we'll get you all sorted." Melissa and Michelle both joined the queue that didn't know what their gifts were. It turned out that there were only 6 of them, which Melissa thought was embarrassing. It was also noticeable that the 2 groups were led off in different directions. This was something that Melissa didn't like at all. She felt it was a class thing and didn't want to be treated differently than any other pupil. "Why are we going to separate parts of the building?" she said aloud. "For safety reasons," replied Amy as they walked up the large concrete staircase. "Sorry, but what safety reasons would that be?" said Melissa tersely. "I can tell by the tone of your voice that you don't like this, but let me assure you, you are being separated for a very good reason. When this school first opened, all the pupils were taken to the same rooms. However, sometimes the gifts we see here can and have been very dangerous. We had a death because of someone who didn't know what their gift was and was scared when it suddenly manifested itself, to the misfortune of the pupil who was standing the nearest. Ever since then, we've separated the pupils in the hopes that we can catch those few who don't know what their gifts are before they harm either themselves or others," explained Amy. "Oh, I see. Thanks for the explanation," replied Melissa, feeling sorry that she'd questioned it. Soon they were being shown to their rooms, and it just so happened that Melissa and Michelle were sharing a room. They were both told to unpack and then to rejoin Amy in the break room, which was just down the corridor. "I can't get over how big this place is," said Michelle.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?